3, 2, 1, go.
Welcome to a special edition of Tough Questions with Airmax and TUF. Today we have a very special edition of it. We're going to talk with Coveney and Michael to discuss recent events. While Coveney hasn't been a member for long, nor has he been involved in much studio history, he has become an interesting character of late due to several reasons that we'll get into. As for Michael, he's been a member for a while, and TUF and I hope you enjoy this episode. You'll also be able to enjoy a future episode where we talk to Michael, and we'll go into more details on him. So for today, Coveney, Michael, thanks for being here.
Yep, no problem.
So let's start, Coveney. I think most people, when they, one of the most immediate things they know about you is that you're building a debate site called 4debate.com. Can you tell us a little about that?
It's actually 4debating.com. It's very similar to this site. The reason I built it was because I was unable to get onto this site. And obviously the other problems have to do with the owner here and the other bugs that this site has. While I was kicked off this site because of an email bug, about 5 months ago, I began developing it, created everything, designed it and everything. Went on to guru.com, found a company to make it for me. They have been developing it since. It's fairly close to delivery at this point. It has a couple of different structures in it, like you vote per round rather than for the whole debate. There's also casual versus ranked. You can vote on You can vote on voters. So if the community doesn't like someone who votes, the community can thumb down the vote as well. There's some other things about it. I put out some videos and other stuff like that. My signature, if you're interested in looking.
I appreciate that. I'm certainly interested in learning more about it, and I do apologize for mistitling it as 4debating.com. I'm sorry for that again. So moving along, there's been recent stuff that's been going on. I want to start kind of at the beginning, and again, Coveney, this is to you. You recently played in our games forum on debate.org, Mafia. So I want to ask a couple of questions about that. Firstly, was that the first game you've played of Mafia, and why did you play?
Yes, it's the first game that I played, and I played because M. Harmon asked me. They said that they needed another player to start.
Oh, okay, that's fair. What was your experience like with that game?
Bad.
Okay. Do you want to expand on what made it a negative experience?
I don't know. I'm used to dealing when you have a new player or you start something new. The expectation for me when I play a new game and it's listed something as beginner, and before I joined it, I made sure that it said beginner, and I even checked the title where it says, if you don't know what Mafia is, this is for you. This game is for you if you don't know how to play. So I assumed that it would be okay to go in there without having any knowledge. That was an incorrect assumption. And the other players were very unhappy with my behavior. However, they didn't want to replace me. So I just continued playing, and it escalated from there.
All right. So if I can ask a question here, in your opinion, like what kind of started all the drama in that game? What was the catalyst?
I don't know. At a basic level, I would say that people were frustrated that I wasn't playing the game the way that they wanted me to play it. So they escalated and got more and more hostile toward me.
You are, by the way, more than welcome to use me by name too. it's
okay. All right. Well, so I messed up in the game. Like I didn't know how to play. So I accidentally didn't know that by stating the row on the Mafia game that showed that I knew one of the power roles. So I stated the role and I asked a question about it because there really wasn't given any information. I was given a link and I went and looked at the link, but I thought that it just went left to right and it didn't go up and down. So I thought that if I had a role that there was only one choice. So I accidentally stated what the roles were, and that was like the first thing that I messed up, and a couple other things.
So in my perspective, kind of being somebody who is supposed to, while also playing the game, also guide the members, I don't think that was a big deal. Noobs in Mafia, people who are new to Mafia, kind of do that thing all the time. I mean, it's your first game. You don't know the rules, so you don't know the metas. You don't know the play styles. I don't think that's something that's really a big deal. There was some drama.
Wait. You were the one who told me that you figured that I knew to hide the power rolls.
Did I say that to you?
Yeah, that's on post 165.
Because I recall at certain points in the game saying I don't think that's anything that we should like hold against you or anything.
Well, I mean, I'm just that you were one of the ones who said that I should have known better.
Did I say that? If I did say that, I apologize. For me, what started all this is there was a certain point where you were kind of going out. There was metas that you didn't understand, and I was trying to educate you on those metas. I thought I was pretty professional in the beginning in educating you on those metas. So one of them, there was a joke that DD had made towards Supa that you had taken seriously, and you'd use that as a scumtail on him. And then secondly, there was a point where you said I've lied to this multiple times, so if you can like post the specific point where this didn't happen, but you also said that you took DD's RVS vote as something that you thought was a scumtail. Was that something you would disagree with?
No, that's not his RVS vote was not the reason that I considered him a scum. As I stated then, I didn't like the way that he was playing.
I know there was a lot of other reasons on it. Those were two specifically out of the entire analysis that I had pointed out. So kind of like what I had expected is, and I thought I thought I was very nice with you and how I approached that, just kind of like giving you advice. But then the way you kind of returned that to me sounded as if you didn't agree that those were actually metas and that you're going to stick with your scumtail. So that's the point where I'm like, okay, this guy just wants to, pursue his lynch, doesn't want to be told anything other than what he thinks. And that's where I started saying that you were stubborn. Would you agree that's kind of how this started?
No, not really.
What's your perspective?
My perspective is that I had an idea about how something went, and that I was misrepresented about why I came to that conclusion repeatedly. If I had a problem with the random, and I felt like that was a scumtail, pi randomed first, and then sup randomed. So if that was the case, if that's how I truly felt, why didn't I have a problem with either one of those?
And so that's what I'm saying. I know that you had more than those reasons, but those were two things that I specifically remember you saying. Are you saying that you didn't say either of those were your scumtail?
I said that was part of the issue. That there were many things that he did that I didn't like.
And there were several points in the game where I acknowledged that you had also had more points, and that your FOSS would be more viable if it was more centered on some of the other issues or his reactions to your FOSS, rather than like making it those two as part of a whole and then denying that those were meta after they were approached to you as meta by somebody who was elected into the game to teach new members.
Okay. So I have issues with that statement, because the game master should be the one who teaches people, and I feel like and I don't know how to pronounce his name, Varric, maybe Varka. I feel like Varka really dropped the ball there, because he should have been the one explaining things to me. He shouldn't have passed that off on other people. If he doesn't want to be the GM and he doesn't want to explain the game to people, then he shouldn't lead the game.
I won't disagree with you there. And actually, there's been different formats that the beginner series has been run in. So normally, when this was initially, the beginner's game was initially founded, they would have somebody who would actually not be a part of the game. They would be there in a separate PM with the newbie, explaining how things work. So in that context, I totally agree with you that it's a little weird to put one of the ringers on actually in the game and in the Mafia, but that's how it's run now. And that's how I accepted it. Unfortunately, that's the way it was. I think I agree with you, though, in that it should have been handled differently. They should definitely be able to put somebody in a PM with you, guiding you through, somebody who doesn't have an objective to win, somebody that can also just focus on purely helping you in the game.
So let me ask you this. When when I asked to be replaced, why wasn't I replaced? I was told that I couldn't get replaced.
I don't think at that point in time it would. Like, I'm not the mod, but I'm pretty sure it was a little bit harder to find the replacements. He did find replacements later during the game in day phases too. But also, and I can't really answer for Varka here, but this is what I would assume. You were actively posting. You were one of the most prolific posters in the game. To me, that kind of gives me a semblance that you were actively interested in the game and that you were very interested in continuing to play.
No, I stated that I was not interested in playing and that I did not like the game multiple times. And you even made comments about that.
But if that was the case, then you would assume most people who were interested in playing would just stop posting, would become inactive, would say to replace me, and then just dip out. You were constantly putting a response and a rebuttal to everything people had to say that went against your opinion. So that's kind of how I look at it. I can't answer for Varka, so I kind of want to lead into the next question to the Mafia game. You claim I abused you in the game. What do you think I did specifically that qualifies as abuse?
I think you abused a new player. The idea of that you would go after to stir up a player, to spin them up, to manipulate them, to bait them, to anger them, whatever you would call it, so that you could get a win. I consider that abusing new players. So
that's something that I wouldn't necessarily qualify that as abuse, because in the Mafia, what I did was very mild. And if you were to play more Mafia games, and I know you said you have no interest, you would see much worse than me simply having a prolonged debate with you, simply calling you stubborn multiple times. I think I called you a troll at one point in time. And again, this is all just to like give up this impression that me and you are having this big flame war. It's supposed to make townies disinterested in playing. I think I was accomplishing that goal, but I don't know if I would qualify that as abuse in context to how some of the other games run.
I mean, I wouldn't call it like abuse, like maybe abuse isn't the best word in context, with like, like beating your wife or something. Like when someone says abuse the system, right? That's not like, you didn't. You understand what I'm saying?
But in what way do you think I was abusing the system? If my system as Mafia is to win, like how am I abusing that? If I'm supposed to use lying and manipulation to win a Mafia game.
If you're interested in winning, then why are you playing against new players?
And then, again, that's something that that would be better directed at Varka, since he was the mod and he didn't put me as a ringer and a PM separate with you. He put me on a team with another new member. So not only am I supposed to be coaching you, Supa Duds was in that game. I was also supposed to be coaching him and helping him win. I was giving him strategy advice in our PM, and a lot of what I was doing in that game was advice that I would tell him to do. Lie and manipulate, try to cause as much fluff and drama as you can, so it disinterests townies in playing. They can kind of pick a side, and the side that I felt like they would probably be more leaning against the way you were approaching the game, because it was your first game and you were very passionate, and obviously that worked in my favor.
So you don't feel like that is a conflict of interest?
No, because I was put on. I feel like I satisfied my job. I tried approaching you professionally and giving you advice. I did approach Supa Duds, and he was a lot more able to take that advice. There were several times where I would tell him something, and he was just like, "Yeah, okay, I get you. I see what you're doing there." Whereas when I try to approach, even though we're on a different team, I did try that approach with you. And like the instant I did, I was told that I was just wrong. That no, that's not how things work. So in a way,
wait, stop. Now, I linked where you started in on me and telling me that my thought process was absurd. Before I ever went back at you.
Okay.
You had already been at me several times.
What do you mean been at several times? Can you tell me what you think?
I linked it. I linked it in the chat. You can click on it. You can go there and look at it. Let's
see.
I'm going to interject for a moment. So it seems very clear that there's a disagreement on how a beginner's game is supposed to go and how a ringer is supposed to lead beginners. I think we'll have to leave that there for a moment, and we can kind of touch on it in the next question. There was, in the end game, Coveney, did this issue kind of continue? Was there discussion on how actions should have been? Was there, further escalation of this in the endgame thread?
Oh yeah, after the game was over, rather than letting it go, he starts in about how I had insane ravings, and that's how he wants to keep going with it. So
I do feel like you did help the Mafia out a lot, and I think you were kind of the catalyst for our victory. Yeah, maybe that was a douchey thing to say. I will admit that was kind of douchey. I did kind of try to set things straight with you. I think it was post 7, where I said, I'm sorry that you took this seriously. I'm sorry that this ended this way, because I do generally like you as a person, but at the end of the day, I did what I did to win, and it worked. And that's how Mafia works. That's the nature of the game. From there, there were several points where you basically accused me of, or you started doing what you were accusing me of doing to you. You called me a lying dick. You said I was a horrible person. You related me to Trump. Do you think that's kind of contradictory to the whole me abusing you thing?
there's a point at which, and this is the thing where I get where everybody on this site is like, oh, Mark, you're so sensitive, you're so thin-skinned. You give me shit during most of the game. You continue giving me shit after the game, and then when I call you a dick or a liar or that you're a horrible person, then oh my god, Coveney is just horrible. We've got to get him kicked off this site. We've got to do all this other stuff. We got to do everything else. I'm sorry, what?
So that's not what I was saying in the slightest. I don't think that you deserve any reprehension for calling me those things. I'm just saying that it's hypocritical of you to say that I was abusive to you and then kind of go tenfold on me what I had ever done to you. Does that make sense?
I don't know that I would call it tenfold. I think that most people are, to a certain extent, dicks. I think that most people lie. As far as horrible person, that's a little bit over the top. Sure.
All right. So from here, so there was a certain point where me and you had basically agreed to disagree. We had kind of stopped the drama, and there were several points where you had kind of bumped the drama.
No.
Do you agree with
don't say that. When you said you wanted to stop, I stopped.
Okay, but you had also it wasn't just with me. At that point, I think Mikkel had joined this time.
That's a different piece. But when you stopped on me, I stopped on you.
Okay, yeah, I agree with that. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the drama had ended, and then over the next day, you had posted something. Nobody responded to it. You posted again, and then that's where Mikkel and other people had started chipping in and wanting to debate you.
I just responded to anything that was sent my way. I didn't start anything.
All right, let me go and find the post.
I'm going to interject there. So there is a contention that you may have bumped that thread. It sounds like you disagree with that. But to move this over to the next step here, as a result of that, whatever this behavior was that anybody engaged in, Michael eventually interjected and challenged you to a debate regarding this. So I'm going to ask Michael, can you give us your impressions leading up to this point that led to you interjecting on this?
I think it's kind of out of timeline. The debate was like really far after that. I definitely made a post in the Mafia game because I mean, for context of this, TUF admits he likes him as a person. I don't like him as a person, so if this comes off as harsh, forgive me. Reading that game was like, it was really, really rough. So seeing him, like, yeah, they were spatting. Him calling TUF a horrible person, him calling TUF a dick. TUF's my friend. So I read this and I'm like, go back, I glance over the day phase, and I read everything that he's posted. I read everything that TUF's posted. So I made a comment to him that was just basically outlining everything that TUF already said, TLDR version. All his complaints, I mean, at least if you played Mafia, they're kind of invalid. Saying if a new player is placed in a game or something, you have to do this, you have to cater to them. I mean, you really don't. It's the virtual equivalent of like playing basketball and saying, okay, I'm not going to play really hard until you learn the game. I mean, to learn a game, you actually have to be put into the game. The whole spiel about him calling TUF a liar, a cheater, a manipulator, all that whatever was said, I mean, it's entirely irrelevant because the whole premise of Mafia is based around lying, manipulation, and warping the game. That's just the basic concept of the game. Whether he was taught that or not, I mean, that's a mod issue, but it's definitely something you learn as a new player inside the game itself. It's not something that you're catered to or anything of the sort. I mean, you learn it as you go along. The impression that I got of that was he got really, really, really upset he was abused and lied to. For whatever reasons, he was a friend with TUF at the time, I think. And TUF kind of played the game the way he should have to make sure he won. Drove him off course, had him ran a lot in the game, inevitably causing Town to lose because like he was going off topic and ranting a lot. Pointed that out to him, and Flame War escalated. Short version.
Okay, so let me bring this to the next point then. So you, as you just described, you saw this happening, and you decided to interject at what point?
When I saw him call TUF a dick and a horrible person.
This was in the end game thread?
End game thread.
So how did that continue? What were the course of events that continued from there on your end?
Trying to explain to him why he was objectively wrong, which was like beating a dead horse with a stick.
Okay, so just did this escalate into a flame war between you and Coveney?
Oh, from there, God, yes. I mean, it enabled me to watch for his post and see other things that he was posted that were inconsistent with what he was saying. I mean, TUF pointed a lot of the inconsistencies prior to that, and I think Mark had conceded one already. The worst thing TUF said about him in that game was basically he had insane ravings, which, I mean, that's not like a subjective statement. It was the truth. That was the reason why they lost the game. So, I mean, TUF offering criticism. I mean, it's the same thing as like if you play a shooter or anything else. I mean, there's going to be things said in games that are part of games. I mean, if you shoot somebody in the head, like you're playing a shooter, you no-scope somebody, like, fuck you, get wrecked. I mean, it's just common game terminology that's addressed different ways in different games. So TUF saying, hey, you shouldn't have did this, you went off raving on a lunatic, is more of a criticism toward him to improve him as a player, which he stated that Coveney didn't take. Taking that to go, you're a dick, you're a horrible person, you're blah, 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 this, whatever he was saying at the time. Yeah, I mean, it's 100% hypocritical, and TUF was entirely right to point that out. Okay,
so you've said a lot there. Coveney, I want to give you a chance before we go forward with any more actions Michael took after that. Michael has said a lot there about how he feels about your actions. Would you like to say something in response?
Who told him to look at the post?
Nobody told me to look at the post. I was reading the post. I'm a user. I can respond to a post.
I didn't even talk to anybody about this, by the way. I didn't care enough. I remain that I'm unattached.
I'm a user on DDO, so, I mean, my obligation is obviously once in a while to check the site. TUF's on my friends list. I see him post. I'm like, oh, I'm going to read this. I see the post. When I go back over and read it, I mean, yes, I'm allowed to have input. It's a debate site. So, yes, I had my input.
Coveney,
I didn't say that you couldn't have input, but you haven't debated in 7 months, and you're not that active on the site or weren't that active on the site until this issue.
I mean, I still use the site. I don't know how you get debating correlation to forum post. I still forum post quite a bit. I mean, it's not consistent. But yes, I mean, obviously I took more interest in this with your response to it because you are abrasive and you're very, very... The entire thing interested me. One, because TUF's my friend. So, again, that's not denying that. TUF is a really good friend of mine. So reading this post and seeing how it went, seeing you call him a horrible person and a dick and of all the other stuff you called him, while you mirroring saying it's a bad thing to do when... I don't know. Basically, you're calling out his criticism for telling you you're raving, which, again, is the worst thing he said to you is that you're raving. And, again, that's not like a subjective statement. It's an objective fact. You were raving. Taking that and then correlating in that to the fact he's a horrible person, I mean, it's hypocritical.
So if I said that you're absurd, that's to you, that's nothing. That's just the truth. So you accept that. You don't accept that as an insult.
Inside the game, it's a criticism.
So me calling you absurd or me saying that you're a raving lunatic, you shouldn't be insulted by that. Is that your stance?
If he's calling that as a person, possibly, I mean, maybe you can take that context. But saying you're making it like acting like a raving lunatic and ranting, no, it's a context of the game. He's explaining to you because of you ranting inconsistently throughout the entire DP.
I will go back in here and intervene and say that I do think I was wrong in saying that. To me, it was more like I didn't think it would escalate that much from me like making a tiny little joke. I thought you would maybe like
I don't think you were wrong at all. But I mean, how many times have you played Overwatch or any other game where you've told?
Oh no, I think you're justified in your opinion. I am making it on the record that I do think I instigated that aspect of this. I don't think I was the worst oppressor in it, but I do understand that I instigated it.
Now let's be very clear. I don't think that he was the worst instigator in it either. I chose him over other people who were worse than him. I don't deny his claim that he was not the worst.
We didn't get any details on that. Were there other members who were engaging in conduct you disagreed with?
Oh yeah. I was called stupid numerous times. I believe I was called moron. Some other stuff like that.
Okay,
So
that's important
before we
context.
get
I
into
appreciate
that aspect, I just kind of so earlier we were talking about, you said you didn't bump the thread. So what I'm talking about is specifically on the 18th, it appeared as if the drama had mostly ended. It seemed as if you had the last word. People were getting disinterested in. What I see on the 19th is that you said, well, things got awfully quiet all of a sudden. Had to check to see if email alerts were broken again. From there, you had linked an image of a dinosaur, which to me was like you saying that you had fended off all the haters. And then in the next post was on the 21st, 2 days later. So ultimately 3 days after the drama had ended, you said, after dropping the gauntlet, all the haters went silent. So this to me is where I kind of felt like you had again bumped the drama, because this is something that you were seeking for. And this is where Mikkel ended up responding. We saw Rocket respond, all kind of saying the same thing, that they thought you had re-instigated this when it could have easily have ended.
For the record, you could go ahead and link that too, just to have a notation.
I've linked both of them already.
All right,
So-
okay.
So given that, Mark, do you feel like you bumped the drama, and was there a purpose for doing so?
As I understand it, that was after he had said that he was going to make that he was going to make a debate, and then he went silent after that, and he didn't make the debate.
You mean Mikkel?
I sent him the debate actually, but he couldn't accept it. Or for some.
So that was the reference. He said that he talked all this stuff about how he was going to send me a debate and everything else, and how he was all this badass and he was going to show me, and then he just got silent.
I think this is like, well, you're going out of timeline with this too. I think this is a lot of the conversation for the debate. We skipped like the huge context for the debate that I was sending you. The huge context for the debate I was sending you was that your actions towards certain players and the way that you're bumping drama and behaving, like for example, a good reason, being that behavior when you're running a site is detrimental to the site. That's the debate I was going to send you. So yeah, I mean, I was at work. I think I did take a day to send it to you or whatever. But I mean, regardless of whether I sent it or not, it didn't make
There it is. Okay. So my response was, because I was expecting a debate, because he had said, I'm going to send you a debate after talking all that shit, and then didn't do it. So I was responding to that.
Okay. Eventually, this leaked out into the main forum. We kind of understand now where we are here in all the context. Mikkel obviously called you out in the main forum to do a debate. First, Mikkel, what's the resolution of this debate, and describe the exact context for the purpose of this debate?
The resolution basically, being that he's creating a debate website, his behavior, calling people morons, whatever, all the previous things he had said, and even said, like, there was two other threads going on at this point. One where he was calling Emil stupid, hinting that she was a slut. Other things going on at this point. But in short, his behavior toward the site or whatever is not good if you're being a moderator. So basically his behavior would be a net detriment for the site that he's creating.
Okay, and eventually the debate was done. So, Coveney, you correct me if I'm wrong, you did end up doing this debate. That's correct?
Yeah.
Okay, so at this point, Mikkel, why don't you provide your main argument in that debate?
I mean, the argument specifies itself. I mean, as a moderator, as a figurehead to the site. I mean, I guess I should go ahead and preemptively attack one of the points that he's going to make. He's going to say he's not a moderator. I mean, he's an owner of the site. Anytime you possess the ability to moderate or do any type of edits to the site, I mean, whether you want to classify yourself as a moderator or not is entirely irrelevant. You are a moderator. At the least, you're a figurehead. That type of behavior is detrimental to a site. I mean, like, people are not going to see that and want to join a site. They're going to see you calling a girl a slut. They're going to see you calling a girl stupid. They're going to see.
Right, let's be clear. I never called her a slut.
No, but you implied it. You implied it.
I didn't imply it at all.
Oh, I can.
Fucking implied it multiple times. Okay.
I told her that after she called me stupid, I told her that she was stupid and she didn't understand capitalism.
No, but I mean,
told her that she needed to find a man who did to take care of her.
I can go pull multiple posts with this. I mean, easily.
Yeah.
Okay, let's John.
Okay,
please.
John, I muted him. How is he able to talk?
Okay, let's stop there. So, Coveney, can you clarify? Yeah,
I've ejected him from the hangout. Sorry, guys.
thank you. Then let's do this. Coveney, can you clarify your role in moderation on fordebating.com? And I think because you've debated Michael, you know what his contention is. Can you respond to that as well?
There is no. He's basically saying that Juggle moderates this site. That's his contention.
That's not my contention. That was not my contention at all.
They own this site, then they're moderators of this site.
Yeah, I mean, technically, but that wasn't a contention in my debate.
What? You just said no, and now you say yes.
No, I'm saying that essentially is a point, but I didn't bring that point up in a debate. That makes no sense. That is not
exactly. It makes no sense, and everyone who's on this site knows that they don't moderate this site.
Did I make? No, just let me clarify. Did at any point in that debate did I make that contention that they moderate the site? No. Yes or no? Did I ever bring that point up?
You make the contention that a site owner must be a moderator.
Let me finish what I'm saying. You're still not letting me finish what I'm saying. I'm saying, did I bring that contention up as a contention? A contention that I make is something I bring up. Whether that's a contention that you make as a rebuttal is entirely irrelevant. The fact that you're telling me I contended that, I did not contend that. Now you can draw that assumption, which is logically yes, that is no way yes, Juggle is moderators of the site, but that's not a contention that I made.
So, by your opinion, is Juggle a moderator of debate.org? Do they moderate debate.org?
Juggle is not a moderator. Juggle is a company, but yes, people that work at Juggle are moderators. Yes.
If I can intervene here, I kind of don't agree with the logic that you're making there. It's the same logic that like the Mormons make when they have somebody sign up for their religion and then who later say they don't want to have anything to do with it or stop attending church. They assume that they keep the person in their records until the person actually calls and removes their name from the records. And then they still count that number towards their overall stats for their church. So I would say just because something or because somebody's name is still on something doesn't mean that that's how, like you've mentioned this before, because my name is still listed as the president on the debate.org site. But we also know, and you obviously have admitted several times that Juggle isn't active. You know that they haven't been active enough to even remove my name as the list of the presidency. Nobody on the community or any rubric understand
you're president. You're going off on a tangent. I didn't bring you up or you being president up.
No,
this logic is very applicable to what you're saying right now about the moderation, though.
He was going to counter a point that you were going to say, because you were eventually going to bring up the fact that he's listed as president on the site, so his behavior is unwarranted, again, which is entirely irrelevant to the topic of the debate. What TUF does, what Juggle does, what anybody on DDO does is a fucking minute point. It means no difference. The debate was about your behavior on your site. Their behavior on this site does not necessarily correlate to anything about your site. It's directly talking about your behavior on your site and how it affects your site. Whatever they do doesn't make a difference.
If you don't believe that Juggle moderates this site, then how is it that you can force the issue that I must moderate my site?
Juggle does moderate this site. I've said that. I said that was not a contention that I made. I never brought that up as a contention. But yes, you can draw from the fact that Juggle does moderate this site. Again, Juggle's a company. Juggle is not a physical being. They're not sentient. It's a company. But the people that work at Juggle, yes, when they get on the site to do stuff, they are moderating the site, yes.
Okay.
I want to kind of move forward, but in doing so, clarify, because my question was, Mark, in regards to your role as a moderator, and you seem to have made the argument so that in the same way Juggle owns debate.org but doesn't moderate it, they delegate that entirely to a third party. Is that your intention with fordebating.com?
Yes.
Okay. And so the reason I ask this is because the whole context here, and certainly Michael, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, is regarding opinions on behavior. Therefore, since you're not a moderator, it shouldn't be viewed negatively. Is that accurate? And would you say that you believe that that's the case?
I don't believe that it's fair to say that I'm a moderator. I'm a site owner. A site owner has different goals than a moderator. A moderator is there to make peace, to ease things over, that kind of thing.
By definition,
wait, come on now. When I let you talk, stop interrupting me.
Go ahead.
Where was I?
You're not a moderator.
Yeah, I'm not a moderator. I'm a site owner. A site owner has different goals and different things that they are trying to do than a moderator. If you attempt to cubbyhole me in the moderator stance and say, okay, you're not acting like a moderator, your behavior is bad for a moderator, then it's absurd.
Okay, I appreciate that. Michael, let me
Yeah, can I cross-ex, please? Okay, so basic short version of this. One, I made the argument that you're a figurehead. I did make the argument that you're a moderator. But I said your behavior as a person is going to influence your site negatively. Yes, whether you want to admit to or not, you are a moderator. And I'll explain to you why. You can be a site owner, and the site owner can have different goals. But how many times in the forums have you said, like, this is not going to happen on FDO because I'll ban them. I'll remove them from the site. What is a moderator's goals? By definition, a moderator is going to moderate the site. They're going to make sure the site runs fluently. When you're actively saying, I'm going to ban people, I'm going to reprimand people, I'm not going to allow people to troll, I'm not going to allow people to harass people, and I'm going to take it upon myself to do that, where you've stated this 3 different times in the forums, you are moderating a site, and you're putting off that image. And now, moderator, whatever you want to call it, figurehead of the site, your behavior is detrimental to that site because people are going to relate your image to that site. And when you're going around calling people sluts, when you're going around calling people bad people.
I didn't call her slut. Please stop lying.
No, you heavily implied it. I will pull post after this and I'll link it in the fucking discussion to show everybody. You implied it heavily, whether you want to admit it or not. That's just one example. You've called her stupid. You've called her unintelligent. You've bragged about your IQ. You've called TUF a horrible person. You've called TUF a dick. That's just a few. Now, whether those people poke at you, whether those people say stuff to you, whether it was justified, whether they initiated the argument, that is all irrelevant. It doesn't make a difference. What is relevant is your response to them as a figurehead.
Okay, and could you please prove that it's bad, because you have never done that?
This is where I don't have to prove it's bad. This is where you have to prove it's good, and I can refute it. Yes, feel free to prove it's good for you.
If you make a claim, you have the burden of proof to prove that claim.
I proved it during the debate. I mean, I can go over the contentions if you want. It's like when you're behaving that way, people are going to see you negatively. It's going to drastically reduce traffic to your site because you're acting like an asshole. I mean, who's going to want to go to a site when you're calling people sluts, when you're calling people bad people, when you're calling people dicks?
I did not call her a slut.
When you implied it, you can keep saying that.
Then stop saying that I said it when I really implied it.
Well, that's the same. Implication means you were hinting at it, doofus.
You mean like the implication that you were going to call my boss, that you were going to contact my boss and get me fired? That implication? Like that?
That's future, but I would love to go over that with you as well, because I did not imply that, but I would love to go over that with you in the future.
You did imply that. If I said hypothetically somebody could come find you and beat you up, that's a threat.
That is not a threat. That's literally saying hypothetically it could happen. A threat is saying I have your address, I may be over there. That's a threat. Me saying, literally telling you that, hey, all these people on this site hate you, they don't like you, you're doing this. It's very, very bad to post your freaking public information on the site when you have a bunch of different people that are trolling you. Hey, you probably shouldn't do that. That is advice. There's the advice, and me threatening I'm going to do it is fundamentally different. And
that's advice. Like you're my buddy now? While you're sitting here calling me that I'm not even human, you're going to give me advice to try to help me out? No, you were threatening me. Just own it.
How can you explain to me how I was threatening you? Explain in what way.
If I said hypothetically, you talking to people like that, somebody's going to come up and punch you in the face. I mean,
that is advice. By definition, that is advice. By the very definition of what you're saying, that is advice. There is nothing about it. What does a threat mean by definition? Please Google it and read it out to me.
I think we're going to have
what does implication mean?
Here. People are going to have to understand this based on the context on their own, and we'll link to this in the thread when we post this.
Well, I mean, this is jumping way far. I mean,
right. So next,
jumped about 50 posts down the road.
Right.
I mean, we're going over we still haven't even got back to the bait.
Okay. So, Coveney, I want to direct this towards you. It's clear that there's at least some group of people who view some of your conduct as negative, whether that's fair or not. My question really has to do with the marketing of fordebating.com. Do you view this as having any effect, either positive or negative, for that?
I think it has both. I've had people come out of the woodwork who've contacted me and said, you know what, there are people here who bully and abuse people, and you just leave them alone. Just wait for your site, because they're not going to get any better and they're not going to change. I've had positive and I've had negative. But you also have to understand that a lot of people will never come forward and speak. They'll never get in the middle of the confrontation. They don't want it. They don't want to deal with something like this. So if they feel like that they're unhappy or whatever, the vast majority of them won't make any kind of statement. So if I'm already getting people who are contacting me and going, yeah, I agree with you, you're right, that you make a complete valid point, then there's going to be more of them. Now, how many? I mean, I guesstimated once on that, but I don't know. I don't really know.
Okay, I appreciate that answer. Michael, is it your view that that what I asked Coveney just now, it would be overwhelmingly negative?
Oh, of course. I mean, if you listen to what he just said, it was nonsensical rambling. He didn't even answer the question. He's saying he has people message him saying whatever. I mean, that's irrelevant to what you just asked him. You asked him, like, is that type of behavior good for his site? And I mean, he's saying people are messaging him saying stuff about stuff that's not even relative to what you just said. I mean, how else would you view it? It's on him to prove, like, I mean, it's his burden, which I've mentioned in the debate too. Like, I mean, I can say it's negative, and I mean, I would almost think it's a truism to assume, like, if you call somebody an asshole, they're going to have a negative view of you. Because I mean, TUF called him a raving lunatic in a Mafia game.
I did not say that.
Well, whatever you called him, just for example. I mean, just using it as an example. Whatever.
I said some of the things he said were insane ravings.
Yeah,
but
he took.
I don't make broad generalizations about someone's character. That's what I'll say.
Okay, what you said that he took that offensively, and then led a post with it and called you a horrible person. So, I mean, if he can hear that from somebody like you, I mean, imagine if other people hear him calling people assholes or implying they're sluts. I mean, like, how is that going to view his site? His burden is to show that this type of behavior as a moderator, whether he wants to admit it or not, or as a figurehead to the site, is going to make a positive benefit. And I mean, there's been nothing he said in the debate or in this hangout at all to even show it is positive. I mean, having a few people message him about stuff that's not even related to the topic, I mean...
Okay. Coveney, you sound like you might want to respond to that.
So people contacting me and telling me that they support what I'm doing and that they agree with me isn't helpful?
You didn't say they supported you or agree with you. You said they were supporting you, saying like they would leave the site. You didn't give any context to it. But yeah, I mean, like what you're saying again. Go ahead.
They were supporting me, but they weren't supporting me?
They were supporting you in what? You have to clarify what you're saying. I mean, whether they're messaging you and saying they want to come to the debate site because of your behavior is one thing. Whether they're messaging you and saying, hey, I'm like you debate site because it's good formatting, that's a different thing. You have to clarify what you're saying. But I mean, also, that's just...
No, I don't. Because you're saying that my behavior is bad and everybody hates it. So if I say that people are messaging me and saying that my behavior is good and that they appreciate and support it, that counters your point.
But you didn't say that, one. And two, I mean, one, you literally just said people were messaging you saying just stick it out. That's not saying they approve your behavior. That's saying they may be defending you. You need to specify what you're saying. But in addition to that, number two, this is all word of mouth. Now, whether or not people message you or I'm calling you a liar is totally irrelevant. But I mean, like, it's circumstantial evidence is what you're saying. Now, if you want to post stats to where people are showing that, to where you get 2 or 3 people and compare that to the amount of negativity that you got from this, I'd be happy to go over that with you as well. But we're taking your word of mouth for something that can't be verified in post, that can't be posted, that it's not in forums. Like, it's people that are messaging.
It can be verified in posts.
Then I would love
there are 3 or 4 people who have supported me in posts.
That about your behavior. Please link it. I would love you to link that.
I don't have that. I didn't know that was going to be whatever, but they have.
Exactly. That's my point. You can't prove it, and I really doubt you will.
I can't prove it. Just because I don't have it in memory doesn't mean I can't prove it.
I mean, then
you stop lying? Jimmy Christmas.
How is that lying? I'm just saying I have never seen
I can't prove it. I can't prove it as a false statement.
That you're saying you have no
Wait. Don't go forward. Don't go off on a tangent. You're saying I can't prove it. That is a false statement.
I'm sorry, debates work in facts unless you have proof. I apologize. But I mean, you're saying stuff that you said people messaged you. One, now you're saying they did it in forum post. I mean, one, you've already...
When you said, I have no proof in the forums, that's what you said. I said, I do have proof in the forums. And then you went off on a tangent.
You just said people messaged you, and then you just switched them messaging you to them posting in the forums. But
that's correct. I said people messaged me. And you said, Mark, you don't have any proof of that. And I said, yes, I do. There is proof in the forums. And you said, you can't prove that.
Is a message a forum post, or are they 2 different things? Because I don't understand what you're saying.
Okay.
I get that you don't understand what I'm saying.
Okay, guys. There seems to have been a simple miscommunication here. It's understandable. This can all be proven once this is posted. I've certainly seen people supporting Mark in the forums. I obviously have seen the opposite as well. So there's clearly a contentious issue here.
So you, I actually have a question.
I have a question also. Do you think, Coveney, that this will alienate the community with your controversial behavior in the slightest, or do you think it's going to help your community in any way?
I think that it's going to do both. Part of the issue that I had when I came here, when I advertised, is advertising on this site, given all the problems that it has with advertising at the very beginning, is going to alienate me. So it's an upstream battle to begin with, just to get people to look at it.
Okay. What are your thoughts? Do you plan on being like a member on DDO? I know your main goal is to get this site up and eventually move fully over there. But in the meantime, or do you plan on like being a community member here and going forward?
Yeah.
What are some of your plans for being a DDO community member?
In reference to what? I don't intend to do any more voting.
Are you still going to be participating in debates? Are you still going to be, just being like an active community member, vocalizing your opinions in the forums, outside the context of the drama that's going on right now?
Yeah.
That's good to know that a lot of this hasn't like scared you away from the site.
Oh no, I'm not scared. That's not that's not an issue.
So I think we've covered a lot of what we've wanted to. I want to now give Michael a chance to make a final statement and Coveney a response, just to kind of wrap things up.
Are we ending it already? Sad. I mean, I thought we were going to go further with it, but I mean, if I'm making a final statement, I would.
Well, you can bring up further contentions now if you like, and we'll explore those. But I think we've covered the drama and your positions on both of them. I mean, if you have some other further issue to bring up, certainly Coveney will respond to it, and you guys can argue about it. So,
sure.
Was there a further issue you wanted to bring up?
I would have loved clarification from the debate, because I didn't get answers from him in the debate. But I mean, I guess we can hash that out, like you said, if that happens. I would encourage people that, if they want to join this website, to really, really think about that choice before they make it. You've seen this behavior. You've seen how he's acted, like through the forums, through everything else, and you've probably read the debate. If you haven't read the debate, hashtag relevancy, go read it. Ask yourself, would a moderator or a site owner behave that way? The type of person that said he would take an active interest multiple times in the forums and banning people or removing them from the site. The type of person that has literally said multiple times over and over that people are horrible people, that they're dicks, that have implied they're sluts, and multiple other arguments that you can go read in the forums. He's probably going to twist this and say that different people on the site, such as TUF, myself, that we've provoked and whatever prodded him into saying these things. But again, I urge you to think about the fact that, like, whatever people do to him is irregardless of the question. The fact is, he's presenting himself as a figurehead, as a leader of a site, as an entity or facial thing that you see when you see this website. If he's willing to act this way on here, how would he act on his site? And is that behavior justified? A lot of the burden is on him. I mean, I would almost, as I said before, I think it's almost a truism to assume that when you're a figurehead in public and you're making this type of behavior, that it's going to be a net detriment. I mean, you would never go shop for a store if a manager called you an asshole or told you that you're a dick. I mean, you would walk out of the store and never shop there again. It's damaging a brand. This is a type of behavior that he has represented for the figurehead and being the face of his company. I would definitely urge people to heavily consider before they join the site. I mean, I love the structure of the site myself until I've seen the type of person that he is. And I mean, again, he's going to twist this back to me attacking him and other people attacking him. You have to remember that our behavior is entirely irrelevant. What we hold ourselves to on moral and ethical levels is entirely irrelevant. The only thing you should be looking at in this debate and joining his site is his behavior as a moderator, whether he's qualified, whether he's professionally able to handle it. And I think he's proven himself over and over that he's not capable of doing that.
Okay, thank you, Michael. Coveney, would you like to respond to that?
Yeah. So everyone who is on this site has dealt with other individuals who have bullied or who have attacked them or anything else. As a site owner, I can choose the rules, and I can make sure that these kind of things are more difficult to happen. And you might want to look at that, and you might want to say, well, you know, he called someone a dick, he called someone a liar, he called someone a horrible person. But you need to understand that the people who are against me, the people who are going through all this, right? They started in on me. Not only did they start in on me, but they have ridiculed my retarded stepson. They have told me that I'm subhuman. They have the large, stupid, fat ass, everything else. And they want to act like I have no restraint. But the best they have on me, and this is very important, the best they have on me is that I called them a liar. I called them a horrible person. And I mean, really a dick. This is me just going all out on them. So, I mean, if you don't want to hear any cuss words and you don't want to hear anything negative and you don't want to have any conflict in your life or no kind of contention, my website will allow cussing. You can cuss someone. You can't cuss someone, but you can cuss me. I'll set up a special forum post for you so that you can cuss me if you feel like it. But you can cuss. I've never been a fan of censoring words so that you can't use certain words that you want to use. Now, as far as a truism and the idea that if you say anything negative that your site's going to fail, no one's going to go there, no one's going to do anything. This is completely absurd. This is like saying that Trump isn't president from doing the exact same thing. That all these people that we look at and we laugh at who are making millions of dollars a year, and he wants to act like that doesn't matter. The money that they make doesn't matter. You can't call them successful because they're making millions of dollars. I don't like them, so they're not successful. And because I don't like them, then what I say is true. My proof is that I don't like them. It's true. And I don't agree with that.
Thank you very much, Coveney. Thank you very much, Michael. This was very interesting to hear both your sides on this.
You said did you say we could keep it going for a bit just for cross-ex? Because there's actually the one point that I wanted to touch on throughout this he just touched on, and it was the only contention in this debate, and I would love just...
Sure, you can say another thing, which Mark will be able to respond to.
Sure. Okay, so this is where I want to interact with you directly, because I want to hear this. Because reading that debate, and I mean, seeing people that have commented on it, everybody admits one thing. You've had one argument in that debate, and that is bad publicity is good publicity, or any publicity is good publicity. Do you consider that to be a fact? People like Alex Jones, Donald Trump, people that do all these negative controversies and stuff like that. Are what they doing a good thing? Yes or no? Like, is how they are handling themselves, what they're doing in public, how they're treating people, is that a good thing? Yes or no?
What you did is called a loaded question. It's where you say, you have only one argument. Now tell me about this argument. By responding to it, I indicate that I only have one argument. You in a debate, when you say that I have a net detriment, you have to prove that I have lost something or I have something to lose, which you did not.
I mean, I think if the second you have people with a negative connotation of you've lost the future of your site, whether your site's active or not active, whether you've started it or not started it up, you've deterred potential people from your site. That is by definition a net detriment.
A net detriment. Now, net means overall. That means that like people like Alex Jones or Jerry Springer or any of those other people who aren't liked, that because people don't like them, and let's be very clear here. Every figurehead on the planet, every famous person, there are people who don't like them. And your contention is that because people don't like them, that they're not going to be successful.
I've never made that contention, Mike, and I'll outline the contention I made. I'm asking you, one, I mean, the only argument that I saw in that debate was that bad publicity is good publicity, which is what I was asking, sorry. What I'm asking you is, is it good in your mind? Because like what you're saying basically is that you can behave any way you want to behave, that if you go out and murder someone, that if you go out and tell people their kids are going to die because they're drinking water, or if you tell people you can just grab them by the pussy, as the president did, that those statements get publicity and that publicity is good. Is that what you're saying?
I think I was very clear that what I did was very controlled.
No, I mean, that's still, I mean, I'm asking you, but you've brought them up multiple times. Is what they're doing good?
Okay, I brought them up in reference to you saying that anything that I do negatively is going to cost me, that it's going to be a net detriment. You seem to be stuck on this, and you believe that because you believe it, it makes it true, even though you want to ignore people like Alex Jones or Trump or anyone else who are highly successful, being very aggressive, very confrontational, being mean to people, making fun of reporters who have disabilities. These people got elected. I mean, he got elected making fun of a reporter with a disability.
I'm trying to get you to answer that for a reason, but I mean, since you're not going to answer it, I'll go into the point I was making. Even if this is true, let's say bad publicity can be good publicity. His burden in this debate is to show that his publicity, the way he's handling it, is directly correlated to his site. What Alex Jones does and how he handles himself and the amount of money that he makes, what Donald Trump does, how he handles himself and how he got elected is entirely irrelevant. Alex Jones panders to a niche group of people. Donald Trump panders to a niche group of people. What they do is successful for them. That's irrelevant to this debate. He can cite people and say negative controversy is good, but he has to look at why that negative controversy is good for them. What he has to do is show that what he's doing is good specifically for his site. not for what other people do for themselves.
If your contention is that because I said something negative that it's detrimental, your proof is that I said something negative, ergo it must be detrimental. If I put something out that if I prove that saying something negative is not automatically detrimental, it means that your logic has failed, and I have countered your argument.
Have you had more negative feedback than positive feedback for what you did?
From individuals?
Yeah, from anybody that you've talked to. I mean, I'll ask this.
I would say it's slightly, but I would say that what I have heard is slightly more than what I have. I would say that there's probably about 12 against and somewhere around 8 that are for.
Okay, so I mean, by definition, if 12 against and 8 are for, from what you've heard, right? If you're saying the terms of a net detriment, I'll just use those numbers as an example. A net detriment, by definition, you're comparing between what is good and what is bad. Overall, what is bad, if what overall is what is bad outweighs what is good, it's a net detriment to your site because it's outweighing it. So what you're saying, just by those numbers, you've heard more bad than good. So your behavior is literally a net detriment to your site. And I mean, you've made the point multiple times that your site's not up, you have nothing to lose. It doesn't make a difference because the site's not running. That's irrelevant. What really is relevant is how these people that you're trying to cater to, that you're trying to pull to your site, perceive you as acting like an asshole. And when they perceive that, and if you're getting more negative feedback than positive, you've lost potential viewers, you've lost potential users. And that, by definition, again, is a net detriment.
People who are mad speak up more. People who are happy with you or whatever don't. You can see this on any forum anywhere. People who you can look at this as what happened here. You wouldn't even respond to me. You wouldn't even acknowledge me. You ignored me until there was some drama, and then all of a sudden you spoke up. This shows that the negative people will speak up, even though the positive won't. So that number of 8 that is the positives, hypothetically, is much larger because positive people don't go, hey, I'm with you.
Yeah,
Not nearly as much.
Yeah, but getting those people to speak up doesn't necessarily mean that's a good thing. I mean, at least for me on a personal level, I could tell you this from TUF and a bunch of other people too. When they saw the site, we saw the site and we thought, okay, this is structured well. It has a good format. It has this. It has that. The second you started doing this, nobody's behavior that I've spoken to has warped and said, I'm going to go join that site. Everybody has negative behavior of you. And I mean, that's from a predisposition of like, okay, this site's good. This guy's doing something good. It went from good to negative. And most people that I've spoken to, and I mean, again, I'm citing something like you're saying people are messaging you, post people that I've talked to, and I've been on the site for 5 years. I talked to quite a lot of people. I've never heard nothing positive about it. And I mean, you could take polls on this. You can take surveys on this. We could do a survey in this Hangout. I would be willing to bet you almost anything.
Oh, no. No way am I giving you some more bullseyes, buddy.
I mean, I would be.
No way am I giving you more people to attack.
It's not
anyone who's on my side. I am not giving you some names so that you can go after them, and the rest of the people who have gone after everyone who has spoken up against me, so that you can have more names. No way. No way.
Okay. I think that you guys are going to have to agree to disagree on that point. Finally, we're going to just do Michael, wrap up your final point in 2 minutes. Coveney, respond. Michael, go ahead.
I mean, I just summed up mostly everything. I mean, again, from what I've said, I think that just covered most everything. He believes his views on Trump, his views on Alex Jones, his views on how he's behaving is a positive thing. I'll address specifically the debate because this is just a rehash of the debate. The debate was to show that his job and position as a moderator, what he's doing is a net detriment to that site. I mean, he showed himself that the people that have messaged him, and bear in mind, he said himself physically that the people that he's seen and talked to, it's 12 to 8 on a negative side. Now, I mean, this number is largely irrelevant. It's exaggerated. It's a guesstimate. And I mean, I hate the word guesstimate myself. But again, ask yourself, like, and he's largely understating what he said too. He's just using dick, bad person, horrible person as what he said. I would encourage you to go read the forums. People have said really bad things about him, myself included. I have not took shots at his family. There have been users that have took shots at his family that I do think they have went largely overboard with, which I have stated to Airmax as well. I mean, some of it has went completely out of line. Even me, I have went overboard with it. But again, all of what we've said is irrelevant to the debate. What is relevant to that debate is his behavior and how it affects his site.
Okay, I appreciate that, Michael. Coveney, I'm going to give you the last word here.
I'm really tired of hearing the word irrelevant because he feels like it's irrelevant. It must be irrelevant. He just states opinion like facts. I'm just getting a little tired of hearing it all.
Okay, Coveney, I very much appreciate you joining us. Michael, I appreciate you joining us. So finally, we're going to do some quick Q&A. So anybody who has a question, please mention that in the chat and we'll unmute you so that you can ask your question. So anybody with a question, please say something in the chat, like I have a question.
And for a reference point as well, when you ask these, I know there's some people that are heated one way or the other. If you do ask questions, please keep it at least semi-civil. I mean, we took it to the forums and hashed it out pretty hard. But for the purpose of this debate, at least keep it kind of structured and with no heavy whatever, please.
Nobody's actually specified they have a question in the comments. Okay, who is that directed to, Uther? Uther, do you want to ask your question? Who's that directed to? Everyone. So Michael and Kavini, okay, what is your view on immigration reform?
Do I really have to answer?
I could give a 5-word answer, I guess.
That's the definition of a loaded question. I'm for it very limitedly. I am for a path to citizenship. I think the way it's being done now, and I think the way Donald Trump has outlined it, is the definition of idiocy. But yes, I think some immigration reform is needed as long as it's done proper. But I think the way he's going about it is completely bad as well.
Okay, Coveney, do you want to answer that question?
Yeah, I agree that it needs reform.
Okay. John Doe asks Coveney if you are serious about your site.
Yeah, I've spent hundreds of hours on it and thousands of dollars.
That sounds very serious to me. That answers it.
Could I ask directly?
Yeah, go ahead.
No, I mean, we've seen your behavior on the site, and like, are you actually trying to encourage? You're really serious about the site. Thousands of dollars. You're telling me thousands of dollars right now. Like that's your play.
My play.
How many thousands of dollars have you invested?
You don't. I mean, you already specified that he's serious about it monetarily. He's serious about it with his time.
I mean, if you're interested in numbers, I mean,
don't believe him.
You don't what?
No, I'm looking for a more serious commitment than just saying that that's what you think. I mean, you've invested thousands of dollars into a site.
You can check the links in any of my signatures to go look at the videos of the site. The TUF has access to the development of the site.
So, I mean, a serious debate site, we're looking for actually trying to discuss issues, but you seem to be just, you run away from conflict. You're constantly,
I ran away from conflict?
Yes, completely.
How?
Yes.
What forum post did I run away from?
John, I wouldn't agree with that at all, by the way.
Yeah,
no.
Definitely the opposite of that.
His refrain is, let's be civil, let's not try to offend anybody. And then he references Alex Jones and Trump. Like, what the? Are you Trump and Alex Jones? Like, vicious attacking?
These are certain points to counter his point.
I mean, I'm just
the whole
trying to figure out who you are. Okay.
As far as who I am, you want to know who I am?
Yeah. No, you keep like waving a limp wrist, and then you reference Alex Jones and Trump. Like, what are you doing? Seriously, this is not making any sense. As far as somebody,
what kind of limp wristed? What kind of? I don't know where you've been, but I have been in an argument against 10 different people at once. I mean, I haven't shied away from anybody. I haven't backed down from anybody. I haven't went overboard like all of them have went overboard, and talking about how they aren't even human beings and they're beneath whatever and all this other just bullshit that they keep saying. So as far as who I am as a person, I am a determined individual.
I'm going to go ahead and mute John here.
Okay. I think that you answered that question, Coveney, about your seriousness of the site, and the follow-up question that he had. Hunter has a question for Coveney.
What is it?
Go ahead, Hunter, or type it into the chat if you'd rather.
But he might be having issues with his mic, so
go ahead and type it into the chat. Yeah, go ahead.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. So this is not serious. Is that chicken Alfredo that you're eating in your picture? It's been bothering me this entire time.
No, dude, I'm a redneck from Arkansas. That's country fried steak, biscuits, and gravy.
Okay.
Question. Okay.
Thank you.
And it's Cracker Barrel, if you're curious.
Oh, excellent choice.
Thank you, sir.
if there are no more questions, then I think we're going to wrap this up. Again, Mark and Mike, thank you very much. That was very entertaining, and I look forward to posting it on the site. Thank you both very much. This has been a special edition of Tough Questions with Airmax and TUF. 3, 2, 1. Okay.